I'm in a Windows 2019 server, and I'm going to turn it into storage for iSCSI for some other servers where I'm going to set up a cluster. So in this video, I'm going to install the iSCSI target, and I'm going to do that by going into Server Manager, and then go to Add Roles and Features until we get into our server roles. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand File and Storage Services, and then I'm going to expand until I see iSCSI Target Server. So what this is going to do is it's going to show up as storage onto our other servers. So when we create a cluster, they will be able to use that storage to share between the two servers. So I'll click Next and install. So this is one way you can do it. The other way you can do this is to buy a SAN, or a storage area network device, that's just designed for this type of thing. And that'll be just basically a box of hard drives with a Linux operating system on it. And you tell it which IP addresses or which computer names can connect to it, add security if you want to, and then it adds the storage. So the Windows iSCSI target works pretty much the same way, except for it's all done through the Windows GUI or through PowerShell. And our server role has been installed. I'm going to click Close, and then I'm going to click on File and Storage Services. Now we have the option where it says iSCSI. And this is where we can create either a folder, or we can take over an entire hard drive and make it available for an iSCSI target. So where it says iSCSI Virtual Disks, I'm going to click on Create an iSCSI Virtual Disk, which is going to start our wizard. So I can choose here an entire hard drive. There's my E drive or my F drive. Obviously, I can't choose my entire C drive because that's where my operating system's installed. So I'm going to choose the E drive, and I'll click Next, and I'll give this one a name. I'll just call it E drive for iSCSI. Click Next. And do I want to do the entire thing, or do I want to give just a portion of it? Well, I want to do the entire drive. It's 11.9 gigabytes. If I hit the drop down, you also get megabytes and terabytes as options. And I have the option for fixed size, dynamically expanding, or differencing. Now, if you're sure that you're going to want to give this entire drive over for iSCSI storage, then choose the fixed size, because that's going to be the fastest access for the other servers to connect to it. If you think you might be using it for something else, then you could choose dynamically expanding, but it's going to be a lot slower. And then this differencing option has to do with the parent-child relationship, which I'm not going to get into in this video because most people don't need this. So I'm just going to choose the fixed size because I really want to give the full access to this. So I'll click Next. I'm going to say this is a new iSCSI target. Now I'm going to call this iSCSI drive. So we had the disk name, which is one thing, and now we have the target name, which is another. So they can't be the same name. So I'll click Next. Says it contains one or more characters that are not valid. You want the target name to be converted to iSCSI-drive. So if you add a space in the name, this is where it's going to automatically create a hyphen there for you. So I'll go ahead and click that. It also changes it so it's all lowercase as well. Click Next. Now I can add the iSCSI initiator that will be accessing this iSCSI virtual disk. So I'll click Add. And it doesn't actually see any iSCSI initiators because this is what we get from our other servers. So what I need to do is I need to minimize this. I'm going to go into one of my other two servers. There we are. And this one's called File Server 1. It's going to be one of the two servers that accesses the drive. So I'm going to click Tools and click on iSCSI Initiator. This is what it's looking for. It's looking for the initiator. So I'm going to click Yes. Go ahead and start the iSCSI service because by default it's not going to be on. Next, I need to put in the target. So I've got to put in the IP address or the computer name, whichever, of the other server. And that's 21.24. So I'll click on Quick Connect. And it's going to say, hey, I can't connect to it yet. That's okay. But what we did was we basically went out and told this other server that we're looking for it. And that's really what we needed. So now I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go back into my target. And I'm going to put the name File Server 1. Check name. Finds it. There it is. And we see this is not supported in Windows Server 2008, Windows 7, or earlier. So this is only going to work with newer servers. So it queried it, and look at that. It found the initiator. So if we hadn't started the initiator, to get that thing going, and then clicked the connect button, then it may never have found this initiator. So click next. Now we can add security. I'm not going to add security on this one, but I'm going to do another one with a folder here in a second where we will add security. And I'll click create. So by adding security, you're adding a challenge authentication protocol. It's basically a handshake between the two, which adds an encrypted connection between the target, which is the server here, and the initiator, which is the server that will be viewing that data. And we see it's now complete. Fantastic. So now I'm going to do another one of these. This time I'm going to go to Task, choose a new iSCSI virtual disk. And this time I'm going to choose a path instead of choosing an entire drive. So I'll click Browse, and I'm going to choose the F drive. Now I'm going to create a folder in there and call it iSCSI. And it automatically creates that for me. I'll call this one iSCSI folder. Click Next. And instead of using the entire 40 gigabyte drive, I'm just going to use 1 gigabyte just as an example. And I'll choose the fixed size again because it is faster and I don't need to use it for anything else. And I'll click Next and Create. And that's now done. And we can see that it's initializing on the new one because we just created it. The other one's done being initialized, but it hasn't been connected yet. The next thing we want to do is add the security that we talked about earlier. So what I'm in right now is the iSCSI initiator, which is that file server 1 server. So I'm going to go into where it says configuration and click on CHAP. So you see that's the challenge authentication protocol. Now I'm going to add the CHAP secret password. This could be anything that you want, but it has to be between 12 and 16 characters. And click OK. Now I'm going to switch back into our iSCSI target server. And now we're back in the iSCSI target server. I'm going to right click and choose properties. And we can now add in that authentication we talked about earlier. Click on security. Click on enable CHAP. Now here's where I'm just going to put in the name administrator. It kind of ignores the username here, but administrator is a safe one to put in. Next we want to put in the matching password we just did earlier. And that's in now. Don't worry about reverse CHAP for this procedure. We don't actually use that. Click apply. And now our encrypted connection is complete. Next, we need to connect the storage up to our iSCSI target. Once again, we are in file server 1, so now I can put in the target and the IP address of that. You certainly can put the name. I just find that I have more success if I put in the IP address so it doesn't have to resolve the DNS name. Click Quick Connect, and now it shows our discovered targets are there. So we click Done. Now it says it's inactive because we haven't done anything with it yet, but we're going to fix that here shortly. I'm going to click on Discovery, and we see that it has discovered it. It's using port 3260 to communicate. So if it can't communicate, that may be something you may want to check, is that the firewall is not blocking it. Under Favorite Targets, I'll click Refresh. Nothing shows up yet. I'll click on Volumes and Devices, click Auto Configure, and nothing shows up yet. So when that happens, and that does happen sometimes, is all we have to do is restart the server, and then it should reconnect, and we should be able to see our storage. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the server now, and then we'll check again, make sure it's working. After restarting the file server, I'll go back into Tools, iSCSI Initiator, and we see we're connected. If I go into Favorite Targets, we see a target, and we see a couple of different volumes and devices, so that's excellent. Now, if this didn't work, if you get an error when trying to connect about the authentication not working, just go ahead and disable authentication, connect, and then re-establish the CHAP authentication, and it should work just fine. Sometimes that happens. It is a Windows bug. Now, if I go to Tools and I go to Computer Management, I could also just go to File and Storage Services off to the left in Server Manager, but I like this better because it's graphical, so it's a little easier to show you what's actually happening. Inside Computer Management, I'll click on Storage, then I'll double-click on Disk Management, and then it should show us our drives that they are there, but they haven't been initialized. So there I see the two drives that are in black. We see one is the 12 gigabyte drive and the other is the 1 gigabyte folder that we saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online on both of them. Next, I have to initialize each one just by right-clicking and choosing Initialize. Choose disks 3 and 4, which is what's checked automatically. Click OK. And now I can create volumes. So I'll click on New Simple Volume. I'm just going to use the whole drive, but you can partition it if you'd like. I'll call this one the G drive and choose the defaults for everything that you see there. You can certainly customize it if you'd like. Now I'm going to do the same thing for my 1 gigabyte drive. And just once again choose all the defaults. This one's going to be the H drive. And now that's done. Now, if I go back into Server Manager, File and Storage Services, I should see these volumes that they've been created. And there they are. There's the G and the H. If I go into File Explorer, then I should see the drives there as well. Click this PC. There's G and there's H. I'll double-click on G, double-click on H. Now, if we go back into the original location on storage, something interesting happens. I'm back in the storage server, and now I'm in File Explorer. Now, take a look at my E drive. This is one of the drives that we set up as an iSCSI target. You can see it says it's completely full, even though we haven't added any data to it. And if I double click on it, we see there's the iSCSI virtual disks folder that was created automatically when we made this a target. Now, if I try to double click on it, it says E drive for iSCSI. Now, if we go into the other drive, the F drive, remember, instead of using the entire drive, we just chose a specific folder, and we called it iSCSI, and there it is. If I double click on that, it just says the iSCSI folder. Now, we can't actually get into the iSCSI folder. We'll see that it's in use. It's being in use or being used by the other server, of course. Now what I can do is I can go into File Server 2 and I can add the iSCSI initiator to that one as well, along with my CHAP authentication. And I'll be able to see that storage in this server as well. Then I can create my cluster. So take a look for my cluster video that's coming into this playlist. It'll be on Windows clustering for Server 2019. This was just step one. This was just to make the storage available, and then we can add our Windows cluster.